Begin with your breaking news this evening. Suspended Gauteng Judge Tintswalo Makhubele faces possible impeachment, and that's after the Judicial Service Commission found the suspended judge guilty of gross misconduct for accepting appointment as chairperson of the Prasa board while being a judge, as well as failing to act honourably during her tenure at Prasa. This follows a complaint by a civil society organisation #UniteBehind, alleging that Makhubele violated the separation of powers principle by being both a judge and a chairperson of a state-owned company board. The JSC has now resolved to refer the matter to the Speaker of the National Assembly. The Commission will also recommend the commencement of removal proceedings in terms of Section 177, which is impeachment. All right, we'll continue then with that breaking news story for you this evening when it pertains to Judge Makhubele. And of course, we will then be trying to get you some insight from Freedom Under Law when it comes to this story. And of course, we'll have more for you on this story later on in our bulletins. All right. We now have Chris Oxtoby for you. He is from Freedom Under Law, and he joins us now live via our live or virtual link. Chris, thank you so much for your time this evening here on SABC News. Let's start off here. Of course, coming in this evening is that finality from the JSC, and it seems as if Judge Makhubele may face an impeachment. What is your reaction from that ruling?
I think it's not a great surprise. The finding that the Judicial Conduct Committee, the Judicial Conduct Tribunal made that she committed gross misconduct, I think was one that a lot of people expected. There are very serious allegations in two parts. One, that she took on a position on the Prasa board that she should not have, having been appointed as a judge. And then secondly, that she acted improperly once she'd taken that appointment. So it really goes to the heart of how, a judge perceives their role, how a judge acts. And once the Conduct Tribunal found that she was indeed guilty of misconduct, I think it was, unless they'd really committed some serious irregularities in those proceedings, I think it was unlikely that the Judicial Service Commission was going to overrule that finding.
And Chris, I mean, we do know that Judge Nana Makhubele, she became a chairperson of a state-owned enterprise, but at the same time, she continued her role as a judge. When you look at the veracity of, what she has conducted while being a judge, what does it do, right? The damage it does to the integrity of the country's judiciary?
I think it unquestionably does do damage to the integrity of the judiciary. I mean, the entire sort of structure and definition of roles that the judiciary has compared to other branches of government under our constitutional system requires that there is a clear separation between them. So to have a situation where you had someone who was in the process of being appointed as a judge, and then took on a position chairing a board of a parastatal with very close ties to the relevant minister. I think the blurring of roles that creates was an enormous problem, and I think would do a lot of harm to people's perceptions of the independence and impartiality of the judiciary. And I think that's a very large part of the answer to your earlier question, why it's not surprising that the outcome that we've heard today has come about, because it really was a conflict in roles that invite serious questions about the judgment of someone taking that position on when they've just been appointed to the bench.
And Chris, this always comes to the fore, right? When it comes to, the kind of recourse the judge has. Does she have any recourse? Can she take any action in that regard to try and prevent what is yet to come?
It's getting very late in the day for that. Theoretically, it might be possible for her to try and conduct some kind of review of the tribunal and the JSC proceedings. It is late in the day for that, but it's theoretically possible. I frankly don't know that there are any strong grounds for her to try to do that, but it may be that there's a last-ditch attempt made to do something like that, to overturn those decisions. As I said, I think that's unlikely. And failing that, then she really is at the mercy of Parliament. And of course, we should point out that there is one final step in the whole process to go before she would be removed from office, and that is that Parliament has to vote on whether or not to remove her. Now, that is in many ways, it's a less constrained decision than the one that the Conduct Tribunal and the JSC makes. The MPs vote on the findings that have been made, and it's not as perhaps as constrained a decision as the JSC's decision today. So it is theoretically possible that Parliament might vote differently and decide not to remove her from office. But again, whether that's really likely is questionable. Of course, last year the Parliament did vote to remove former judges Hlophe and Mutata from office. So there isn't yet any precedent where Parliament has gone against the findings of the JSC. So she could hope for a sympathetic outcome of the vote in Parliament. But again, I would think that's unlikely.
We now know that this matter will now be referred to the Speaker of the National Assembly. How soon can we expect for MPs to vote on this matter?
So I'm not off the top of my head familiar with what sort of the immediate parliamentary schedule is. There'll be a certain lapse in time for it to be sort of put onto the parliamentary schedule in the normal course. I would imagine we'd be looking at some time in the coming few months. Certainly, I would expect before the end of the year we'll have finality on this. But the exact timeline will depend on the specific details of Parliament's schedule.
All right, Chris, thank you so much for your time. That's Chris Oxtoby. He is a research consultant from Freedom Under Law, just giving us his insights there to that breaking news coming in pertaining to the suspended judge, and that is Judge Makhubele.